In your project of the ERP integration, how many clients were there? Was there a separate integration platform for each client? You need to answer in the lines of the following. This was a single client engagement. PwC engagements are typically deep partnerships with one enterprise customer at a time. So the platform was built especially for them. That said, one of the things I pushed for in the design was internal multi tenancy. They had multiple business units, each with their own ERP instance and their own data isolation requirements for each of the business units that they have. So this is kind of internal multi-tenancy. So the platform had to handle around 8 to 10 separate tenant configurations under a single deployment. Each tenant had its own credentials with its own rate limit budget, its own sync state, but they shared the core integration framework. So while it wasn't multi-customer in the SaaS sense, the architectural pattern was very similar to what you would build for a company such as Procurify for tenant aware sync workers, isolated credential storage, per tenant observability. If the question is asked on what was the size of the data that you handled and how many requests per minute, steady state volume was moderate. I would say in the range of 2 to 3,000 sync operations per hour. Let me repeat, 2 to 3,000 sync operations per hour across all tenants, which works out to be maybe 40 to 50 per minute on average. But the real challenge wasn't average load, it was the burst pattern. Around month end financial close, volume would spike to 6 or 7 times that. Sometimes 5,000 records queued in a short window as finance teams pushed batch invoices and journal entries through. That's actually why the async job layer mattered so much. Synchronous processing would have either timed out or hammered the ERP's rate limits, while the queue plus backoff we could absorb the spike and drain it smoothly within the SLA window. On the data side, the operational store held something on the order of low millions of records, including purchase orders, invoice line items, approval state, transition, sync audit logs. The audit log was the largest table by far because we kept full sync history for compliance. P95 sync latency end to end, including the round trip to the ERP, was around 800 milliseconds to 1.2 seconds depending on the operation type. The 35% latency improvement I mentioned came from a combination of cache aside on lookup heavy reference data, query optimization on the audit log indexes, and connection pooling on the ERP client.